What's up, guys? It's your girl Chelsea, the wannabe Hecate. I have been away for some time. I have been doing other things. I've had a lot going on in my life. YouTube kind of went to the back burner. I'm trying to learn how to balance and manage my time better, but it's a struggle. So I am back to do episode 9 again to revisit the birth chart of Chris Evans. I messed up, is what I should say, first of all. I did make a mistake, and for that, and to people that I upset by making a mistake, I do want to apologize. I didn't think my video was going to get the kind of attention that it got, so basically I thought I could get away with posting what I posted and just, saying, yeah, it's wrong, there are inaccuracies, but I thought I did a good job explaining, at the end of the day, I want my celebrity birth chart videos to be about learning about astrology, learning about the planets, how they act when they're in certain signs or houses. Celebrities are just like fun examples to use. I can't make statements about them. I don't know them. I'm just kind of theorizing. So when I made Chris Evans' video, he was the first celebrity I had tried to do who I couldn't find the official birth time for at the time that I was, writing my script and stuff. I'm sorry if my lighting messes up. I don't normally shoot during the daytime. It's weird. All of this is weird right now. So as I was saying, I did not find the correct birth time when I was doing my research. I have been told numerous times since then what the correct birth time is. I knew pretty soon after I posted it. I even posted in the comments. Someone had asked me about his love life, his relationships, and I said, okay, well, we'll look at his Venus. We'll look at what sign it's in, what house it's in, and we're going to use the accurate birth time, not the birth time that I used in my video. And other people just didn't read my comments. They didn't watch my other videos. They just got upset with me, and I feel really bad, honestly, and it made me sad because, when I posted the Chris Evans video, my videos were averaging maybe like 40 or 50 views, optimistically. My most viewed video was the Keanu Reeves birth chart video, which is maybe at like 400 or 500 now, I think. I'd have to check. So people weren't really paying attention to me, and I just didn't think anyone was going to watch the video. I didn't think anyone would really care, honestly. And I was very wrong. The Chris Evans video is up to like 2,000 views. And I don't know what to say except I'm sorry that I made a mistake, and now I'm here to correct my mistake. I'm here to redo my video with the correct time and right my wrongs and atone. And hopefully you guys will forgive me, and hopefully you will go check out my other videos that I did right. I'm very lucky to even have people be checking out my YouTube channel. I'm very lucky to have reached 70 subscribers. I'm very excited about that. I want to be here more. I want to be more present, and I'm going to try to make more videos. I'm going to try to hold myself more accountable. I've really been trying to work on myself more this year, and it's been a rough path so far in the first 2 months, but all I can do is try. So, yeah. So, I'm so ready to do this chart, to talk about Chris Evans for real, and then put this to bed, and hopefully move forward with my YouTube channel, with my Instagram page, and, with myself as an astrologer and as a tarot reader, learning from the mistake and just continuing to do what I do, because this does make me really happy. I have still been doing birth chart readings for people, which has been really fun. I love doing them. I think I should stop talking now. I should. I should keep talking. I should stop talking about me, and I should start talking about Chris Evans. Alright, so doing this for real this time, Chris is a Gemini sun, a Scorpio moon, and a Scorpio rising. Not a Virgo rising, as I previously stated when I was misinformed. This is a very interesting sun-moon rising combo to have. It's just air and water. I like it, honestly, but I'm air and water in my victory, so I could be a little biased. I really like, as personally for me, I really enjoy seeing moon and rising in the same sign, just because your moon is your inner world, it's your emotions, and your rising is kind of how you come across, how you express yourself. And I'm one of those people who really wears my heart on my sleeve. I'm not good at hiding my emotions. So to see like those two things in the same sign kind of encourages the thought that that person would display their emotions more than other people, just because, like I said, the moon and the rising are in the same sign. Chris is a June baby, so he's a Gemini. And what do we know about Geminis? They're very self-expressive. They're very curious, they're very restless, always on the go, moving around. I think of Geminis as like butterflies, not just social butterflies, just butterflies in general, with how they just kind of go from thing to thing. They're a little scattered in a way. They kind of know a little bit about everything as opposed to knowing a lot about just one thing. They like to take in information and they like to learn new things, so they're always trying to do that. Geminis are very good conversationalists. They usually have pretty firm opinions, but they're open-minded. They're willing to listen to yours. They like a good debate, or just a good conversation in general. It doesn't necessarily have to be a debate. Why does my lighting hate me? Geminis have an ability to detach themselves. It can make them a little difficult to get close to, and with Chris having a Scorpio moon and Scorpio rising, those are going to kind of further enforce this thought. I'm going to come back to it later when I talk about those other things. A Gemini is very bubbly and, like I said, a butterfly, so they can tend to have a lot of friends, maybe have a large social circle, but they won't necessarily have a lot of people that are super, super close to them, that are very intimate with them. They save that for just a few select people. Like I said, they are very bubbly. They want to enjoy the fun side of life. They're very fun to be around. With the large social circle, it's usually because they're just adaptable to all kinds of people. They're like social chameleons, kind of, in a way. Gemini placements tend to value their freedom a lot. Kind of goes hand in hand with what I was talking about earlier. The intimacy not really coming easy, or them kind of choosing a select few people to be very close to them. They just value their freedom. And with Chris having Scorpio moon and Scorpio rising, those things are going to make him value his privacy a lot as well. Chris's sun is in his 7th house, the house of one-to-one relationship and interaction. The sun is going to represent how we express ourselves, and the house that it goes into illuminates that area of our life. It makes that area very important to us. So Chris having his sun here, it means that his personal relationships are important to him. It's probably important to him to like keep balance and harmony. He doesn't really like any kind of imbalance in those things, if that makes sense. Sometimes I feel like the things I say, you hear it and you're just like, what the? Having the sun in the 7th house gives him a good ability to negotiate and kind of establish that balance and harmony if he needs to. It's a good peacekeeping placement. People who have sun in the 7th house can also be kind of sensitive to rejection. They're a little more motivated to be well-liked by people in a way. Because of this, they can sometimes struggle with putting the harmony and the balance and like wanting things to stay how they are. They don't want to like disrupt the peace, so they can kind of put others and their needs before their own needs, which is really kind of a Libra thing in general, which the 7th house is ruled by Libra. So when we have planets there, we tend to take on some Libra tendencies in our personality. Imagine having a Libra sun moon in the 7th house. That's me. It's a lot. Overall, someone with the sun in their 7th house here, having the sun illuminating the house of one-to-one interaction, it gives them a good ability to identify with people. So in this way, they could possibly be, I shouldn't lean this way, I'm gonna like run into my picture, but my back hurts. So in this way, it also makes them a good leader. That's a trait of a good leader, being able to get on someone's level and just relate to them, even if you don't really have anything in common. That kind of comes with either 7th house placements or 11th house placements, because those are the houses that are about interaction with others. So Chris has a Scorpio moon. This is a very intense sign to have your moon in, since Scorpio is, of course, one of the more intense signs in the zodiac. There's going to be a lot of emotional intensity. Okay, that's the last time I'm going to say intense. I'm sorry. These people tend to see beyond curtains, illusions, facades, right to the heart of the matter. They have, like, very good powers of observation, just, like, I wanted to say a piercing gaze, but I didn't mean in, like, a literal way. I meant, like, I can't even explain it. Like, there's just really no tricking them. There's no fooling them. Like, they see with their special eyes. A Scorpio moon usually bestows very good willpower, a pretty good memory, which can lead to, unfortunately, holding grudges, maybe. These people are ambitious. The work that they do is very important to them. It is through this work that they express themselves. I think that rings very true for Chris. And of course he gets to live his passion and do what he loves, doing acting. And I think you can just tell by how good he is at it, how important it is to him. If that makes sense. I really doubt myself and how much I make sense in these videos. As I already mentioned with the Gemini sun, Chris is definitely choosy with who he lets get close to him. This is going to be reinforced by the Scorpio moon. These people are usually very private and they value just their privacy and their space. It can take a long time to earn their trust and get them to commit to you fully, but once they do, they are very devoted and very loyal. They don't like to do anything halfway. They don't like any kind of meaningless relationship that they feel like is wasting their time or their energy. They're very efficient when it comes to those things. Chris's moon is in his 12th house, which is also he has an interesting sign to have it in, an interesting house to have it in, because the 12th house is very enigmatic. It represents our subconscious and like secrets, our dreams, like when we're sleeping dreams, as well as like our own like self-undoing or like past life karma. All of those things are ruled by the 12th house. When the moon, which represents our emotions and our inner world, goes into the 12th house, it usually bestows a very curious, like inquisitive nature, but it's also definitely gonna anyone who has the moon here is probably gonna need time alone to kind of recharge their batteries. They could like have a very active imagination, since I said like the 12th house rules the subconscious. So like their mind can be like very frequently flooded with ideas and just all kinds of things going on up here, but they might not necessarily express those things just because the 12th house is a very secretive house. Like I said, it's the house of secrets. So having a very personal planet here like the moon would cause you to maybe be more secretive, maybe be a little more private of a person, at least when it comes to your own personal life. So yes, moon in 12th house. Sensitive, emotionally perceptive, very caring people. They may be predisposed to just like selfless giving, since the 12th house kind of can also be, it has like a humanitarian streak to it since it's ruled by Pisces, and Pisces is a very help your fellow man sign. What man sign? That was unfortunate. I didn't mean it that way. But having a personal planet in the 12th house and, it being ruled by Pisces, like I said earlier, when, you have planets in the 7th house, we take on Libra tendencies. When we have a planet in the 12th house like the moon, we're going to take on a few Pisces tendencies, which would be helping other people out, putting others before yourself, and that kind of jam. Basically, the moon in the 12th house gives a very private personality. Chris's rising sign is also Scorpio, which I enjoy seeing in a chart, the moon and the rising sign in the same sign, since the moon is like the emotions and the inner world, and the rising sign is like how you come off to people when you first meet them. It's kind of like how you present yourself in the world. So I think it's kind of interesting to have them in the same sign. It kind of implies that you would be more upfront with your emotions and honest about them, which I as a person enjoy because that's how I am as a person. Scorpio rising people are very magnetic. They have a lot of presence. They don't very often go unnoticed. They're those kind of people who, I need to stop moving so much, so I'll stop messing up my lighting. Scorpio risings are those kind of people who catch your eye. It doesn't really matter if they're introverted or extroverted, quiet or loud, like they just have a presence about them that gets them noticed. What I talked about in the Scorpio moon with the gaze and like seeing through things is going to be reinforced by a Scorpio rising. Scorpio rising, you could just say like Scorpio placements in general have that kind of gaze about them and that ability to like see through the BS. They're just always reading between the lines and they're so observant. They have that they have the very good powers of observation. It's just like they don't miss anything. They have a pretty good ability to feel out other people, feel out situations. Scorpio risings usually have like a strong need to be in control in their environment. They definitely like to plan things out very carefully and deliberately. A lot of people ask me about Chris Evans's future partner, potential partner, his love life and all that when I did his chart. So I want to mention right now that Scorpio rising people tend to be drawn to more down-to-earth people and just reliable, secure partners who are going to give them commitment and devotion. That's definitely going to be reinforced by the Scorpio moon as well. I think that someone who has Scorpio moon and rising like Chris would really be looking for someone who is intense in love and someone who can kind of keep up with them in a way, but I'll talk more about that when I talk about his Venus sign. Chris's Mercury is in Cancer. Mercury is the planet of communication, so this is going to be how we, speak, but also how we learn, how we absorb information. Our mental energy in general is going to be ruled by Mercury. When it goes into Cancer, it takes on a more sensitive, kind of caring vibe, since that's the Cancer way. A Cancer Mercury communicates with a lot of feeling. It is a water sign, and the water signs are all about feelings. They really like to please people. They like to make a good impression. The Cancer Mercury is going to reinforce Chris's Gemini Sun in that it makes him even more chameleon-like and just gives him an even stronger ability to just relate to other people and be very adaptable when it comes to meeting new people, finding ways to relate to them and get on their level. Cancer Mercury also bestows a very powerful imagination and a very good memory, which, as I already mentioned, was covered by the Scorpio Moon, Scorpio Rising. So Chris's Mercury is in his 8th house, which is an interesting house. Again, it kind of goes hand in hand with the 12th house as being very enigmatic, probably the most enigmatic houses in the whole chart. So the 8th house is like transformation or regeneration. It also rules like shared resources with other people, it rules death. It's a very interesting house that rules over very interesting things. So Mercury being in the 8th house tends to make the person who has this placement like research and investigation a lot. They want to know like the motivation behind why people do what they do. They like to read between the lines, like how I mentioned with Scorpio placements. The 8th house is ruled by Scorpio. So Mercury being here, we're going to take on scorpionic tendencies in our communication. We're going to be reading between the lines in conversation. We're going to be very observant and very good at remembering what someone said, or, holding on to the receipts, if you will. A Mercury 8th house may feel like they can't turn off their mind. They have a very active mental energy going on. They also have very strong persuasive powers and are pretty good at handling authority. They tend to be good leaders because they're really good at developing a strategy and then communicating that strategy to other people and implementing it with them and getting those people to help them. I messed up my lighting again, and I'm sorry. Chris also has his Venus in Cancer. Venus being the planet of love, the planet of relationships. When it goes into Cancer, which is a very loving and sentimental sign, it just becomes absolutely dripping in honey, sugar, goodness. Cancer Venuses, they want intensity in their relationships. They want commitment, as I already mentioned earlier when I talked about Chris's Scorpio Moon. So a Cancer Venus is, like I said, very sensitive, very sentimental. They show their love by caring for you, by paying very close attention to how you're feeling and trying to help out, if it's negative, trying to help lift it. And if it's already good, they're just trying to keep it up there and keep it good. A Cancer Venus wants very committed, solid, dependable love, which I kind of already touched on with Chris's Scorpio Moon. They really need total commitment. They need to know that you're committed. And once they do, they open up to you in a way. They are super, super loyal and super committed to you because, it's not lost on them that they need to give you the same thing that they're asking for. So they ask for a lot of commitment, super mega loyalty, but that's what they're going to give you in return. A Cancer Venus can also be very attached to their family and to their home, since Cancer rules the 4th house, and Cancer is just the overall sign of family and home. That's Cancer and Taurus. It's those two. Since Chris has his Mercury and his Venus in the same sign, this is a very nice chart aspect to have. Mercury is your communication, Venus is your feelings, and when they're in the same sign, very comfortable to communicate those feelings. I think, of course, this is going to be reinforced by what I already talked about with his Moon and Rising being in the same sign. I think we're kind of seeing why Chris comes across the way he does. He comes across so down to earth and grounded and just super approachable and charming. I think all of that comes from the Moon conjunct Ascendant and the Mercury conjunct Venus. People who have Mercury conjunct Venus will also tend to enjoy speaking and writing, just the arts in general. A lot of their intellectual pleasures and the things that they like to do with their mind and with their talents is going to be influenced by their feelings. Chris's Venus is also in his 8th house with his Mercury, and as I talked about already with the Mercury, the 8th house is the interesting sign that rules, transformation and regeneration and all kinds of kooky things. When Venus goes here, it means that this person is going to seek a lot of intensity in their relationships, since the 8th house is a very intense sign. It's ruled by Scorpio, as I said earlier. And 8th house Venus gets bored with like mechanical interaction or just like, mundane, banal acts of love. They would want something intense. They want something beyond the mundane. These people love very wholeheartedly. They're seeking total devotion, which is already reinforced by the Venus being in Cancer with Chris. But when Venus is in the 8th house, these people can kind of have a fear of being vulnerable sometimes. So they might control their emotions. They might not want to be seen as vulnerable until they trust you and they've let you into their circle and they're comfortable with being more vulnerable with you. The charm runs very deep when Venus is in the 8th house. The person who has Venus in the 8th house is normally very magnetic, does not usually go unnoticed by other people. It's kind of a Scorpio thing. I feel like I'm kind of repeating what I already said earlier when I was talking about the Scorpio rising. I think I said in my last video that Chris just has a very nice chart in that all of his placements just reinforce each other and just kind of go hand in hand with like the same themes. It's cool. It's nice. Not necessarily saying that if you don't and that if you have oppositions or your planets don't reinforce each other that it's bad. It's not bad at all. It just means that you might have other things to work on or other obstacles to overcome in a way that I would have to go over in a completely separate video. I'm gonna get back on task now. So yes, with Venus in the 8th house, other people pick up their intensity very easily. These people don't tend to be frightened by like the unknown, and they could also be attracted to like taboo things because those are also ruled by the 8th house. Things considered occult, like tarot or astrology. Just like his sun, Chris's Mars is in Gemini, Mars being the planet of drive and will, how we go after what we want. Having it in an air sign and in Gemini is going to give a very sharp wit, a very intellectual vibe. These people tend to like frequent changes of pace, since as I mentioned when talking about the sun, Gemini is kind of just everywhere at once. So they don't tend to like routine or doing the same thing over and over and over. They're going to want difference. And, I feel like that comes across really well with Chris being an actor. He goes from like different project to different project. And while he's doing the same thing, he's acting different stories and being different characters. So it's kind of a change of pace in that he could do something super serious or he could do something funny or he could be Captain America, which is both of those in a way. I don't know. A Mars Gemini tends to have a very magnetic voice, a passion for words, since Gemini rules the 3rd house, which is the house of communication, and Gemini itself is ruled by Mercury, which is the planet of communication. So Gemini loves words and expression and communication. I didn't want to say it again, but I could not access my inner thesaurus for a different word. These people will usually be good at multitasking when Mars is in Gemini, but they just have to be careful not to spread themselves too thin or to like overcommit and then have responsibilities that they can't necessarily take care of because there's just too many other things that they have going on. They could also possibly have like a lot of nervous energy that they like to channel through their hands, whether that's like playing an instrument or video games or something. Chris's Mars is in his 7th house, the house of one-to-one relationship and interaction. His Cancer Venus and his Gemini Mars are the biggest planets we want to look at if we're going to be asking questions about his love life or his potential partners and stuff like that. You can look at a Mars sign normally for those things, but we're specifically looking at Mars for Chris mainly because it's in his 7th house. You're going to want to look at the Venus and the Venus sign, the Venus house, and then the 7th house in general when you're asking like love life questions. I should probably make a video about that, like just looking at stuff like that. I should. I'll put that on the list. Good meeting. So Chris having his Mars in his 7th house. This is going to probably mean that he needs a very high level of passion and energy in his personal relationships and connections, because these personal relationships are, of course, overseen by the 7th house. And when Mars goes into this house, it's a very spicy planet, and it brings in a very high energy level, a very interesting dynamic. People who have Mars in Gemini typically look for a partner who can like challenge them in some kind of way, like stimulate their intellect, someone they can have like a healthy level of competition with. When I say like someone who challenges them, I don't necessarily mean like they're looking for like project people or something like crazy like that. I mean like they want someone who is like competitive with them and someone who just keeps up with them in a way. It's not someone who is humdrum or okay to just kind of do. I feel like I'm gonna start roasting people, and I don't want to do that, so I'm just gonna stop. I try so hard. I don't want to make anyone upset when I make my videos, and I know that it's very easy to do that sometimes without even knowing or thinking about it, so I try to be very considerate with what I say and how I say it, but sometimes I'm just a dunce. A 7th house Mars usually needs a lot of different outlets for their energy. They're very creative with how they express that energy and how they express themselves. Their relationships are usually pretty high stakes just because it's like I talked about, they need someone who can keep up with them, and that can be kind of a tall order when it comes to a Gemini Mars, as well as, you know, a Cancer Venus, a Cancer Mercury. I think Chris kind of needs someone who is comfortable with their emotions and their feelings and is comfortable with expressing those things and being upfront about them, because he wants to do the same thing, but he needs to trust that person. And, you know, so they have to earn his trust, and, you know, they gotta kind of keep up and be okay with, I feel like he would want to go on really fun dates, like doing all kinds of crazy stuff, like rock climbing or something. This is just me completely spitballing. But yes, a Mars in the 7th house, when it comes to their romantic partners, they need someone who can keep up with them physically, mentally, emotionally. It's high stakes because Mars is just spicy. I say that a lot in my videos, but I really don't have any other kind of explanation for Mars. Like, it's just a spicy planet. Wherever it goes, it's just causing a ruckus. Chris has his Jupiter in Libra, which is a very kind of chill sign to have your Jupiter in. This means that he probably succeeds very well in his partnerships and that relating to other people is very important to him. Libra Jupiters tend to use their charm and their grace to achieve their goals. Jupiter is the planet of like expansion and higher learning, how we're expanding our world, our horizons. And so when it's in Libra, arts could be a possible avenue for that expansion or for success. A Libra Jupiter just kind of gives you this magnetic, like charming personality. They tend to have a knack for getting their talent on display, which as we see Chris has done. I really struggle when I talk about Jupiter because it's not a personal planet and there's just really not a lot to say about it when it's in signs, but when it's in houses, then we're talking. So Chris's Jupiter is in his 10th house, which is the house of career, public image. Tends to bestow a smooth professional life, which I think Chris has seen so far. He has done very well for himself professionally. He had one hiccup where he leaked his own nudes, but, you know, he's so unproblematic, like, that he leaked his own nudes. Like, it wasn't even a hack or someone trying to get back at him for some bad things he had done. Like, it was just an accident. It was almost wholesome in a way. That's the word I'm looking for. It was very one of those, like, you know, celebrities. They're just like us moments. A 10-house Jupiter person tends to have very good leadership skills. They might have issues adapting to like a humdrum life. They don't really like mundane routine stuff. People tend to see them as someone who has a lot of moral integrity. They may have also learned a lot from certain authority figures or just been favored by authority figures during their come up, because authority figures are also overseen by the 10th house. I'm not really sure how easy of a time Chris had coming up in acting, or how much he might have. I feel like he probably got along pretty well with teachers and like just people of authority in general when he was growing up, because he's just so sweet and like his chart is very he's just a grounded, down-to-earth dude is what I can see from his chart. And I mean, maybe he's a little chaotic sometimes because he's got the Gemini going on, and Geminis like to be silly. But I should talk about this after I talk about his Saturn. Chris's Saturn is also in Libra. It's interesting when people have their Saturn and Jupiter in the same sign and in the same house sometimes, just because wherever Jupiter goes, it's said that that area of life, that house, has this kind of like good luck vibe to it, and you know, things are a little bit easier in that area. But when Saturn goes somewhere in a birth chart, it's said that it's there to teach lessons. It's there to make you value those things that are ruled by that house more, and it's meant to kind of, like, I don't want to say Saturn is mean, but it is. It's a mean planet. Now, when Saturn goes into Libra, as it has in Chris's chart, it tends to bestow good judgment and instinct for making the right impression, as I've already said with his Jupiter, with his Libra Jupiter. Saturn in Libra is a very good position for success with the public. Since it's in his 10th house, that's going to further reinforce the whole success with the public thing, since the 10th house is your public image. When Saturn's in the 10th house of career, there's a very high drive to succeed, very strong powers of perseverance. When these people define the goal and they know what they want, they will stop at nothing to go after that goal. It's possible that they could like take on a lot of responsibility on themselves, or just kind of prefer to deal with things on their own. The 10th house is ruled by Capricorn, so Jupiter and Saturn in Chris's chart are going to take on Capricorn kind of traits, since they're here in the 10th house. And that's a very kind of Capricorn vibe, not only to like take on a lot of responsibility, but also to just want to deal with things on your own, whether that be the things you're working on, or like, you know, your feelings or whatever. Like, you're just going to deal with it on your own rather than like seek out someone else. Overall, someone with Saturn in the 10th house really wants to show their capability. Saturn is here to teach lessons and make them value their career, make them value their public image, and I think that Chris obviously does. I mean, he's very successful, and like I said, just a super down-to-earth dude. With Saturn and Jupiter being in the 10th house, I think that his professional life is like super important to him. It just also gives him like a very hardworking personality, he's just someone who is like very driven to be successful and to accomplish their goals, whatever they may be. Whatever his career plan was, like, I'm assuming, you know, I don't know if he always wanted to be an actor. I guess I need to watch more videos, like, maybe because, you know, everybody, like, wants to be something different when they're, like, a kid, but I wonder if he, like, always wanted to be an actor, because, like, I kind of feel like it was, and, like, he got it done, because that Jupiter-Saturn 10 house energy, I can't believe I did it. I reshot the video. It's a mess. I'm a mess. My laptop is a mess and is probably about to start hyperventilating again, so... But, you know, we got it done. We did it. I hope you guys like it. I haven't really decided what to do next. I know I said I was going to do Jake Gyllenhaal way back in, like, November, December time, and I wrote the video, but I tried to film it, and my audio got messed up, and I didn't find out until after I had been filming for an hour, and I was so disheartened, and I have a hard time delivering the scripts again once I've already, like, because they're not even really, like, scripts, they're, like, note cards, and, you know, I kind of, like, riff, and, like, I think you guys can kind of tell, like, sometimes I'm very, like, improv-y. They do so well the first time that I'm just like, oh, this is good, and I want it to be like this, and then I have to do it again, and I'm like, oh, I can't do it like I did it the last time, and I just feel it's just harder to do it a second time. But I definitely want to come back to Jake, especially since I already wrote the whole video. I don't know who I'm going to do next. I don't know if I want to do him next or someone else. I know for Aries season, I want to do Seth Rogen for sure. I'm not really taking requests anymore, but I am always taking suggestions. I realize that suggestions is a much better word to use than requests. And yeah, I will let you guys know on my Instagram. If you're not following my Instagram, I would strongly recommend, like, if you want to keep up with what's going on with me, with what I'm doing, what I'm posting, or what I'm planning to post, it's always up on my Instagram. So definitely give me a follow if you haven't yet. But other than that, if you just want to stay on the YouTube, that's totally fine too, no pressure. I will hopefully be back soon with another video. But yeah, thank you guys so much for sitting down with me and for enduring my mess. But I hope you guys have been doing well in my absence. I appreciate your support. I read all your comments and I appreciate them a lot. And I appreciate those of you who tell your friends about me and get your friends to subscribe. It means a lot to me. I'm coming up on a year pretty soon since I started. I think I started last May. So pretty soon it's going to be a year that I've had my YouTube channel, and I'm very excited with where it's at. so far, honestly. So yeah, hopefully I'll be back soon. Please leave me a comment, let me know what you thought. Make sure to follow me on Instagram, and make sure to like the video. Make sure you're subscribed to my channel. Make sure you drink water, and what else? Make sure you pat yourself on the back, you know? Make sure you're kind to yourself today, for me. I would really love that. Love you, bye!